mood.
Exactly, you're talking about kickstarting on a shiny mood. It is a double or mixed reactions for a lot of Nigerians out there with the trendy story from our very own Nollywood star, Yella Doce. Well, it is something that wasn't expected. It's something that broke the internet and got a lot of Nigerians reacting to it. And that happens to be the announcement, the official announcement of the birth of his son, one of his sons, and the new achievement of his second wife.
Well, I was taken aback by the sad news. I call it sad news because when you look at the history of Yul Edochie and his wife, she's been one of the most amazing personalities when you talk about women who have shown faith, who have shown resilience, who have shown relentlessness, who have shown loyalty, especially in times of challenges or great challenges. Recall that not too long ago, Yul Edochie celebrated the wife for being very supportive, being very encouraging, and never, kicking him in the butt when he was down and going through all of the thickest moments of his life with him. And that is something that you rarely see in the present generation. So to have a woman, overlook all the wonderful things of life other men could have provided for her had she decided to jump up and leave you because you didn't have a way with all or possibly couldn't provide the basic things she needed, is something that breaks my heart to know that eventually Yul is the one waking up to break the poor woman's heart. And in a manner that is completely out of line, in a manner that shows utter disrespect, disregard, and no sense of gratitude at all for the personality in question and for the sacrifices that she has made over the years.
Well, Francis, it's a double reaction as far as this news is concerned. While a lot of persons who told that line of thought, others, maybe very few, a handful of persons congratulating him on this one. But on a personal note, I would say that it's rather saddening for Mary, his first wife, who, like you said, or like the actor, the celebrity actor, had always said that the wife sacrificed the Lord, that she means everything to him. And precisely in his word, I had no sustainable job when I got married. She said she'll manage, she'll never frustrate me. She had never frustrated me. And it's been 16 years of marriage now. We are happy. Different things work for different people. Those were his exact words on one occasion that Yella Doce decided to celebrate his wife. One would think what went wrong. And yes, perhaps the issue of him impregnating his colleague Judy Austin and the situation that led to the birth of his foster son, that was something that a lot of Nigerians thought was another mistake, because at some point, though it wasn't official, it was let loose, the information was in public space, and everybody was aware that Judy is pregnant for Yella Doce. And surprisingly, yesterday morning, he broke the internet with this news. And first should be asked, what happened? And at the point people were wondering whether this is another movie or something, the wife actually commented, Mary commented, with God will judge both of you. Now that statement is very broad. That statement is very loud. That statement means a lot. That statement can write a book inside it. God will judge both of you. Now, information is that she wasn't aware that the husband was going to pay the dowry for Judy Austin. And if that were the case, I would say it is very insensitive on the part of the actor to neglect the respect and regard he should have for his wife. Let's say this lady is pregnant for you and you want to go ahead and pay the dowry. I feel it is something that you should sit with your wife and talk about it. Do everything possible that you can to get her to consent and have, agree to the idea of getting a second wife before actually moving ahead. It is very wrong. It is suicidal. It is a mother attempt to do that behind your wife's back, and your wife gets to find out from, another source rather than you, that you've taken such an action, such a bold step. I think it's so insensitive, and like some Nigerians would say, Well, the marriage counselor has defaulted himself.
The marriage counselor, indeed. A lot of things just go wrong, and people begin to hide under the guise of cultural practices. One of the things the comment sections have been flooded is with the fact that in Nigeria, in Africa, a man is free and is allowed to marry more than one wife. I'm not disputing that,
In
that a man is
Africa,
actually allowed to marry more than
okay,
one
yeah.
wife. But then, when you entered into a marriage agreement, just like every other committed relationship, it was not just about you. It was about you and the person you enter into the relationship with. And you have spent 16 good years, that is almost 2 decades, with this particular woman who has sacrificed so much for where you are today. Now, there are certain questions I expect that men would ask or should ask themselves. And I know a lot of men might not agree with me and might think I'm sounding stupid. But then, if you had to be in a relationship, or you've been in a relationship with a woman, you took the woman out of her parents' house and made her your wife, and if for any reason in the world you want to go ahead and take a second wife, what stops you from sitting down with your wife, interacting with your wife, and coming to some level of agreement and understanding, making her understand or see reason why you want to take a second wife? That is what is expected in a civil relationship, in a civil society, where you have respect.
Not just civil, Francis. In African tradition, it is expected that your first wife be present if you must marry another wife. Now, it calls to question what is happening in Africa, what is really happening with our parents. I mean, Yele Doche is not a hidden figure. It's a figure that everybody knows, like a larger chunk of people know Yele Doche in Nigeria. They know he is married. They know he has 4 children, 3 boys and a girl. And perhaps you see Yele Doche come to seek for your daughter's hand in marriage. You should ask him about his first wife. You should ask him his opinion, the opinion of his first wife. What is a position in this decision you are taking? And perhaps you are a father, you are a mother, and you see such a person come to marry your daughter. You should be able to ask sensitive questions and get proper answers. Why is she not here? This person is going to be her co-wife. If we want to go the African traditional way, then that is the normal, that is the due process, that is what was supposed to be done, and that didn't come to play. And yes, the parents of Judy Austin actually gave out their daughter's hand in marriage to a man who is not divorced, for you to say yes, he's no longer in the false relationship and he's here to marry your daughter, and you have gladly given her and out in marriage without seeking for the other woman. Where is she? What's her take on this? And none of those questions. And it boils down to morality in our society.
Well, when it comes to the issue of morality, I think it has been established a long time before now that lots of families, lots of individuals, lots of parents have thrown morality away a long time ago, that they don't really care. The only situation where you would see, or should I use this term, that morality is subjective, morality is material driven. So if it happened that probably a poor man was the one seeking the hands of Julie in marriage, I want to believe the parents would have asked certain questions, the critical questions, the vital question, and we probably wouldn't be talking about Yul announcing a marriage online without the consent of the first wife. But since Yul is well made, he has the money, he has the popularity, he has everything that every family would want to have in a son-in-law, then every other thing gets shoved. It is like the biblical saying that, when a man has money, everybody makes excuses for him. But when a man doesn't have, then everybody tries to crucify the man for not having money. So that is the situation that is being played out here. And it's not just peculiar to Yul's case. We've had different instances where, parents, families of would-be bride get to know that the man coming to marry their wife, their daughter, has been married, is still married, and has a wife in the house with probably children. And that the wife and the man in question have not had any discussion about his taking a second wife. And yet, because they see the material gain that would come, a son-in-law to be is rich, and so from taking care of a daughter, he will be taking care of us and our needs and all of that. So they shelve everything that has to do with morality, shelve everything that has to do with right thinking, that has to do with tradition, that has to do with culture. I mean, they know that one way or the other with money, you would always find a way around that. But I'm super hurt if that qualifies the way I'm feeling right now, because this woman has sacrificed a lot. I mean, if we are to go by the comment sections of the Nigerian expression, You have a woman who has given birth to 4 lovely kids for you, who has sacrificed 16 years of her life for you to be where you are today. A woman who still makes daily effort to look cute, sweet, super sweet and hot, just to be there for you and to fit into the personality that you have. And then you abandon that woman to go for what?
Well, to go for Judy, and of course, if you look at the history of Yele Doche and Judy, if we want to go by some, she is by full name Mogalu Uchechukwu Judy, but she is better known as Judy Austin. And the information in public space is that she made her first entrance into Nollywood in 2013. And between 2013 and 2018, she has produced 2 movies, 2 flagship movies that have put her in that is being watched and rated one of the best movies in Nollywood. And one of it is The Native Girl. And that Native Girl was co-produced by Yele Doche, which happens to be where a lot of persons say their relationship started. Yes, things happened. Yes, the baby is involved. Number one, it questions the moral. It still boils down to morality and sensitivity of the actor Yele Doche. You were married and you had a, would I say, fling or a deliberate relationship, knowing that you were married. Number one, it calls for protection for an educated person like that. It means you had an unprotected sex, which for one is as bad as the death of a newborn baby. And because you have thrown caution to the wind, let's say that Yele Doche is exposed to 200 beautiful ladies on a daily. You can deduce that if he wants to have an affair with 200 beautiful ladies, it means it can be deduced that he's all going unprotected. And that calls for questioning. It calls for the health condition of the wife and him. That is another nonchalant attitude that cannot be excused. So on that's on the one side. On the other side, this has happened. If you must go for hand in marriage, at least courtesy demands that you settle with your wife. As far as you have not filed for a divorce, it means you still want your first wife around. Yes, and that means that you have to agree with her to go for this. At least let her have that first-hand information. These kind of things can throws the other woman. It could make her have some sort of depression, or maybe feel, maybe even get to a serious mental issue. Mental health is important, and for a person who has tried to dabble into politics, someone who at a point aspired to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I don't know what sort of president he would have been.
Well, sometimes I think things happen for people to see that behind the words, behind the activism that we see a lot of people pose on the social media, there's a lot going on that we do not get to know. And so we should not be quick to judge that this person, if given the opportunity, would be better than the or others who are already in the system. And Yele Doche is just telling us that. I mean, if I want to digress a little away from Yele Doche, remember the likes of Desmond Elliott when he was actively involved in the entertainment industry, was one of the most vocal person and talked about lots of issues. But fast forward to his entrance into the politics, one can say that there are 2 different versions of Desmond Elliott, and that is just on the sideline. But then I am very particular about the fact that regardless of, despite all that has happened, Yule's father is yet to make a statement. And
No,
like lots of netizens have said, Yule is a Catholic, and as far as the Catholic Church is concerned, you're expected to marry just one wife. And even when there are situations and you have to divorce that particular wife, it takes a lot of process, it takes a lot of time before you can even go ahead or think about going to marry another wife. And that must have been when the church must have exhausted every other options to ensure that there is peace between the 2 of you, or that you guys come back together. And at this point in time, we've not had all of those information. But one thing I'm sure, and I'm hoping that Yule's wife would get over, is the fact that the betrayal is something that has been in the public space before now. I mean, she was aware of the illicit affair, and then this one is just like the biggest of the shocker. So I'm hoping that she gets over it. But then, for a personality like Yele Doche, I think it's one of the most craziest, the most craziest, the most funny thing to do, and I lack words to express the magnitude of what she has, or he rather, has made men to be. Because if you go to the social media now, a lot of reactions from women as saying this is one of the reasons we don't want to, stay and build with a young man who is struggling, who has vision and all of that. Lots of women are voicing that concern because you never know what that young man is going to do. But this does not take away the fact that there are still decent young men who want to live a life with you, who would not betray that trust, who would not betray that confidence once you give it to them and stay through with them. So this is going to spiral out in multiple ways, and lots of persons are going to suffer as a result of youth's action.
Exactly, because going by what is in public space as we speak, a lot of women are asking questions. Bloggers like Mercy Johnson, Mercy Eka blog, and other bloggers, even Chiamaka is asking questions like, where is the place of let's build together? There are lots of young men out there, potential young men with innate ability that can do better only in due time, but at the moment, because of the economic situation of Nigeria, cannot sprout at the moment, and they are eligible for marriage, and they are looking for sincere young women who believes in them, who believes in their potential to just start a life with. And now it calls to question which woman will want to start a life with a nobody, with someone who lives in just a room apartment in a public compound and build to a capacity like a Yellow Doche just to get such height of betrayal. A lot of ladies wouldn't want to go through that path anymore. It calls to question. I recall where Regina Daniels got married to the billionaire Nate Woko. A lot of persons castigated her. I bet this is one of the many reasons that women take such decisions and all of that. But yes, I hope that May does well, May copes better. We're sending a lot of Nigerians are sending lots of love to May at this point, who we believe, or Nigerians believe, is quite devastated because of the development. And also to Judy, you can't throw away the baby with the bathwater. We wish you well. Congratulations on your marriage. And yes, it is what it is. It has happened. It has happened. Congratulations on your newborn baby. And to Yellow Doche, is quite exciting. I'm feeling funky about it. We wish you well. Happy to wives. We look forward to many more wives to come. And yes, this is where we pause and head on to the news brief desk, where we get to find out what's happening in Nigeria and beyond. Do stay with us.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
politics is a game. It is about delivering dividends of democracy. For this, accountability is key. So we listen, we follow up on the promise, and we track the progress. Watch Political Spectrum weekdays, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., exclusive to Spectrum Television.
States and governments, Secretary General, distinguished delegates.
This was the Lagos reporting for Spectrum TV to recover for the lapses in counting.
Good morning. Here's Spectrum TV News Brief at this hour. I am Frank Zizadet. First, in our news today, Federal High Court Abuja has ordered that a contempt charge motion against 5 senior advocates of Nigeria involved in the $418 million judgment debt suit be served on them through courier services. Justice Inyako issued the order for substituted service following an ex parte motion by Emeka Okoro, counsel for the applicants who are 15 and 16 respondents in the suit. In another development, the Nigerian Labour Congress is asking the federal government to address issues that led to the ongoing strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and other unions in tertiary institutions. NLC President Ayuba Waba made the call when he addressed newsmen before going into a meeting of the Congress Central Working Committee in Abuja. On a business news, Central Bank of Nigeria urged Nigerians to embrace its intervention programs to promote financial stability and economic development. The CBN Director of Corporate Communications, Osita Nwanisobia, gave the charge at the opening session of a two-day fair organized by the bank in Owerri. Away from that, Nigeria Content Development and Monitoring Board says it has grown Nigerian content in the oil and gas sector to 42%. Executive Secretary of the board, Simbi Waboti, gave the update while speaking at a local content workshop for the judiciary in Bayelsa. On a foreign scene, Elon Musk's rocket company SpaceX has launched 4 more astronauts into orbit on the Crew Dragon capsule. The crew includes Jessica Watkin, who becomes the first black woman to serve on an extended mission on the International Space Station. In sports, Nigeria's senior women's national team, the Super Falcons, will know their opponents in this year's Women Africa Cup of Nations AFCON when the draw ceremony is done on Friday in Morocco. The Mohammed VI complex in the North African Kingdom has been scheduled to host the event, which will bundle the 12 teams qualified for the 12th edition of the tournament into 3 groups of 4 teams each. We'll bring you details of these and more in a news at 12. We'll head back to the Rise and Shine crew to stay.
As of states and government, Secretary General, distinguished delegates.
This was the Lagos reporting for Spectrum TV to recover for the lapses in counting.
the only ones allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Politics is a game. It is about delivering dividends of democracy. For this, accountability is key. So we listen, we follow up on the promise, and we track the progress. Watch Political Spectrum weekdays, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., exclusive to Spectrum Television. Welcome back. Yes, the show is still Rise and Shine, reaching you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiaku. And of course, we just got back from the news brief desk where we found out Francis actually took us through happenings in Nigeria and beyond. And now we are going to jump right into telling you what happened on the 28th of April in many years back, just for a quick recap. And yes, talking about today, what made history on this day. We could just start that in 1945, Benito Mussolini was executed. He was an Italian dictator, Benito, who after a series of military adventures became unpopular even amongst his fellow fascists who were captured while trying to flee Italy and was executed on this day in 1945. Wow, that is quite saddening, and we would want to say that his soul rest in peace and find peace in the bosom of the Lord. And yes, when you talk about execution, it's a capital offense, and it's something that happens once in a while.
Well, execution is definitely one of those things that used to be most feared in ancient times, especially when you're talking about biological execution, where people get to be executed using chemicals infused into their systems, and electrocutions and other forms of execution. Is definitely not something you'd want to witness it being done. I mean, getting to witness firsthand the challenges, the struggle, the tears, the cry, the very excruciatingly painful last moment of somebody, regardless of the crimes or whatever crime they must have committed. So it's a bad thing, and we do hope that we get past those horrible situations, especially for horrible criminals.
Of course. When you talk about execution, it's not really criminals. It could be some what they call detectors, and we've had several world leaders who were named detectors, the likes of Adolf Hitler, the likes of Joseph Stalin, the likes of Idi Amin of Uganda, and the likes of Pol Pot, and the likes of Muammar Gaddafi. And just the list are endless. They have been known to be world detectors, world leaders who were detectors, and at some point they got executed.
Well, those are persons who over time have sold their conscience, persons who over time lost touch with humanity. And when you lost touch with humanity,
a lot of persons would say that they stood up for Africa against the Western influence, and that to the Westerners, to the world power, was being detected.
well, standing up for Africa is a good thing, but then some of these persons who allegedly stood up for Africa or did some terrible things in guise of standing up for Africa actually committed lots of war crimes against humanity.
Sure.
And when you go against those, basic morality or moral laws that has to do with protecting human rights and the rights of every other person, regardless of the intention that you had, before raising to that point or getting to that point of your actions, every other thing, gets carried away. It's like the normal proverbial saying that one day bad behavior erases 1,000 years of good behavior. So in as much as we appreciate persons who want to stand up for Africa, I mean, we've had the likes of Martin Luther King Jr. who rose up and spoke for Africa and spoke for the black race, but he didn't have to commit some terrible crimes in the process of doing so. So we can have you agitate, we can have you be an activist for Africa and speak for the emancipation of the African the black folks, and not commit those crimes against humanity, because when you turn to crime in the name of preaching a particular course, then you go against everything morally sound and justified in your quest to attain justice. I mean, there is no excuse for any crime, regardless of what intentions you had. There is absolutely no excuse for it.
Well, moving ahead.
And yes, moving ahead, I hope this one gets to you. In 1947, Thor Heyerdahl began his legendary journey on Kon-Tiki. The Norwegian explorer and his crew set out on the 101-day journey on the self-built raft to prove that South Americans could have reached and settled Polynesia in pre-Columbian times.
Wow.
Now, one of the amazing persons, one of the amazing history has to do with persons who took the risk to actually explore the universe.
Exactly.
And when you read about histories and you find out that, I mean, like the raft that we are seeing, this just happened to be, something that was roughly put together just to ensure that they can have access and passage through the waterways to where they were going to, or their target destination. And if you bring that to the present day, and then the scenarios where you have boats capsized at sea, which are far better made than the raft that we were used to seeing explorers, traveling, you just can imagine the level of bravery, the level of curiosity, the level of relentlessness and resilience they had to be able to bring to bear the different explorative sites that they uncover and brought to the notice of the whole world.
Exactly. And quickly moving ahead, in 1969, Charles de Gaulle resigned as president of France, and de Gaulle founded the France Fifth Republic in 1958 and became the first president in that year. Well, this is one personality that has done quite a lot as far as the history of France is concerned. He was practically involved in the constitution construction of France, and to a large extent during his administration as the president, and France was the economic fortune. There was a turnaround in the economic fortunes of France, and history has recorded that Napoleon and de Gaulle top-ranking status of France leader in the 19th and 20th century. Well, according to a 2005 survey carried out in the context of the 10th anniversary of the date of Socialist President Francis, 35% and the respondents would say that this particular leader did quite a lot, and he was one of the pillars that France stood with to become one of the best countries in the world.
Yes, significantly, he's done a lot of policies. He was instrumental to a lot of drawing up plans for the French people, and that is being celebrated today. And talking about presidents and leaders who've made history, I think Emmanuel Macron just toed that line, and maybe sometime, some years down the line, we'll be reading about the first sitting president who had to, after decades, win re-election in the city, and that is an amazing thing. But moving away from France, did you also know that in 1994, former CIA officer Aldrich Ames admitted that he forwarded U.S. secrets to the Soviet Union? Ames was sentenced to life imprisonment for his activities, which amounted to one of the most damaging spy cases in U.S. history. Now, when you understand the U.S. intelligence organizations, you understand that information is key. Information is everything. And when that information or those information fall into the wrong hands, then it compromises the entire intelligence department. It compromises everything about the national security of the U.S. and being able to hand over such valid documents, such critical documents to the Soviet Union was like the worst crime humanly committed against the U.S. intelligence.
Absolutely, and to a large extent, fighting crimes and fighting terrorism and the security of a particular country depends on the confidentiality of top information that can be handled wisely, and to a large extent, this led to some certain countries coming up with media shield laws to shield the media from releasing top information that opponent or opposing countries can use at the detriment of some countries. So yes, it happened, and it had to pay that maximum penalty. And moving away from that, in 2001, Denis Tito became the first space tourist in history. A Russian rocket transported the Californian billionaire to the International Space Station, ISS. Wow, that's Tito. That's my namesake. Did you know? So
I smiled. I smiled when that came up. So you actually did this in a man's case.
Yeah, I did
what's
this.
Gonna happen,
I'm telling you, I did that way back 2001, and I'm still nursing the idea of going for another space travel. And let's look at after 2023.
Okay, after 2023, I hope we all get to that point. But moving away from that, in 2004, the first Abu Ghraib torture pictures were published. The image aired in a 60-minute report showed gross human rights violations, including torture and murder committed by U.S. soldiers and CIA personnel in the Baghdad prison. Okay, now the rights of persons in prison is just one of the things that has consistently been on the front burner of issues. Even within the NSAS portals that we had in Nigeria, I think those issues also came to play, where you have the police arrest persons and without any evidence or proof harasses the person, and it gets worse when they take you, especially the SARS division that the Nigerian people want to stop, get to torture you, use all sorts of weapons, machete, axe, just anything and everything that could possibly enter their hand, including electric shockers and ions and stuff that naturally, constitutionally, are not supposed to be used on persons who have not been confirmed as criminals. And even those who have been confirmed as criminals still have some level of leniency within the context of the law. And these are things that we would have to continue kicking against, because regardless, we still should maintain respect for human sanity and human dignity.
Exactly. This actually took place in a facility that was located 20 miles west of Baghdad on 230 axis. And of course, Abu Ghraib prison was a U.S. Army detention center for captured IRIS from 2003 to 2006. So yes, this got revealed when pictures taken in that detention, in that custody, got leaked, and the inmates were seen to have scars which called for questioning, and that was what led to the revelation of the maltreatment of inmates in custody. Well, yes, that is what you need to know, and that is what happened on this day in history. So yes, this is Will Reports, and when we return, Rising Child will continue on another dimension, which will be diving into a topical issue of which will interest you, and you just have to be on the standby. We'll be back after now.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Glad to know you're still there. It's still Rise and Shine Thursday edition, and we've been bringing to you things that happened way back in history, today being the 28th day in the month of April 2022, and some would add the year of our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, so this is Rise and Shine, and you can connect us on our different socials by using the handle SpectrumTv.ng on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and you can get to connect us live and be part of the conversation.
Exactly, and today happens to be the World Day of Safety and Health in Work, and it's celebrated the world over. How safe are you in your workspace? The theme for this year is Act Together to Build a Positive Safety and Health Culture. Act together. It's a call for togetherness. And like you said, the year of our Lord Jesus Christ, our Lord Jesus Christ would say, can two work together except they agree? I think when we have a unity of purpose, not just in a workspace, in family, as a country, if there is that unity of purpose, if there is that common interest, if it's that set goal that everyone is committed to achieving, then it would be achievable. It is impossible not to achieve such set goals.
Well, it is absolutely impossible. That is why you would always see forces that are not in agreement with the forces of good, with the forces of right, fighting against unity, fighting against two persons who are genuinely committed to staying through and staying together. In the office environment, you always find those funny elements who would always want to cause stir between colleagues, you know, and then because they know the power of two, they know the power of agreement, they know the power of unity. I remember growing up in those days, my mom would always say, you know, when we gather as a family to pray, and she will always say, you know what? She'll bring out a piece of a broomstick and then, you know, break it or try to break it, and of course that will work. And then she'll pick a bundle of broom and then attempt to break it, and you see that would never come to be. And then she would say, you know what, this is just simple. As long as you're united, whether it's you and another person, or it's you with a family, or it's you in the workspace, then nothing can break you. There is no goal, there is no target, there is absolutely nothing you cannot achieve. But once you're divided, once you're separated, you can easily be broken.
Of course, there's a cliche and an adage that has been used over time that together we stand and divided we fall. Exactly. And now being together is not just people who come together physically. It all amounts to, regardless of where you are, your distances, if there is that purpose, that singular purpose that you know in your heart that you agree upon with another person, whether in the US or in UK or in China or anywhere they are, but you are committed and working together at heart to make sure that it's achieved, it can be achieved. So yes, together we stand, divided we fall. So that illustration by your mother was really a practical way of demonstrating how well or how unshaken an entity, a company, an organization, or a country can be if there is that unity of purpose.
And yes, talking about the World Day for Safety and Health at Work, which is being celebrated today, a lot of things happens in the work environment that persons take for granted. We've had persons get involved in occupational accidents, lots of hazard stuff, especially in the factory environment where people are working. We've had situations where people fall sick as a result of being exposed to materials they are not supposed to be exposed to, and that's because maybe probably out of negligence or poor planning or not paying attention to details, they're exposed to not using the tools that they are supposed to use at work, and because of that they get exposed to things that gets to injure them or expose them to one disease or the other. So today is basically about, you know, preaching the message of caution, preaching the message of being attentive, preaching the message of, you know, going by the rule book, using the right tools for the right job, ensuring that the right things are put in place. So, for instance, in cases we've had, like the fire service department of Nigeria would say, you know, in every company there should always be an exit for incidents of emergency or fire outbreak. There should always be that fire extinguishers placed in strategic positions. When you're handling substances that are capable of damaging the skin, then you should ensure that you use gloves and face shields and stuff like that to help prevent or protect you from the, you know, the dangers and the havoc that might come as a result of that.
Of course, safety precautions are not something that should be overlooked as far as workspace is concerned. Like you have mentioned, that the fire extinguishers, not just in the workspace, it's a vital thing. As far as, if you look at the road safety, it is a requirement that you must have in your car if it happens. It's not as if they're preempting that your car will be set ablaze, but perhaps it happens, it is safe to have those things in place. And for people who are into welding, it's important to be given the right gadgets to protect themselves. They should be entitled to, you know, a face shield that protects their eye from the direct light of the welding equipment. And also for people who are cooks, it is stipulated by virtue of being exposed to heat all the time that I think every day they should be given a can of milk, and then to help them revitalize and for them to stay healthy. So these are certain things that shouldn't be neglected in every workspace. So people, it embodies on organizations and companies and individuals to ensure that safety precautions are taken into consideration as far as the workspace is concerned. But we're not going to dwell on this because we have a guest on standby who will shed more light on the importance of this day and how humans, companies, and every individual can utilize this like this to enhance safety in workspaces. So stay with us and we'll be back after a moment.
The annual World Day for Safety and Health at Work on 28 April promotes the prevention of occupational accidents and diseases globally. The World Day for Safety and Health at Work 2022 focuses on enhancing social dialogue towards a culture of safety and health. It is an awareness-raising campaign intended to focus international intention and attention on the magnitude of the problem and on how promoting and creating a safety and health culture can help reduce the number of work-related deaths and injuries. In 2003, the International Labour Organization, ILO, began to observe World Day for Safety and Health in order to stress the prevention of accidents and diseases at work, capitalizing on the International Labour Organization's traditional strength of tripartism and social dialogue. 28 April is also the International Commemoration Day for Death and Injuries related to work environment, organized worldwide by the trade union movement since 1996. The main goal of safety and health programs is to prevent workplace injuries, illnesses, and deaths, as well as the suffering and financial hardship these events can cause for workers, their families, and employers. Workplace safety is an important part of any job and requires that everyone in the company adhere to the safety guidelines and policies in place. Carefully following appropriate safety guidelines can go a long way to preventing workplace injuries. Below are some ways you can work to stay safe on the job. Always be alert to what's happening in your surroundings. Remember, your safety is your responsibility. Understand the particular hazards related to your job or workplace and keep clear of potentially hazardous areas or situations. Be awake and attentive on the job and be particularly aware of machinery. Avoid going to work under the influence of alcohol or drugs, which can compromise your concentration, coordination, judgment, motor control, and alertness. Use correct postures to protect your back while at work. If you sit at a desk, keep your shoulders and hips in line and avoid hunching over. Use correct form when lifting objects and avoid twisting and stopping. Feeling tired and burnt out makes you less likely to be aware of your surrounding and is a common cause of workplace injuries. Regular breaks helps you to stay fresh and alert on the job. It is particularly important to take short breaks when you have a task that requires repetitive movements over a long period of time. Always take the proper precaution when operating machinery or using tools. Taking shortcuts is a leading cause of workplace injuries, so use the appropriate tool for the job and use it in the right way. Always know where emergency exits are located and keep the path to them clear. You should also have clear access to the emergency shutoffs on machineries. If you notice a potential safety hazard or risk, report it to your supervisor immediately so they can address the situation and keep communication lines open and work as a team to create a safe working environment. Maintain a clean and organized workplace environment. Make housekeeping an ongoing project that everyone is involved in. Make use of mechanical aids and reduce workplace stress. Use appropriate safety equipment as well. Creating an environment that is safe is the responsibility of everyone. Do your part by following safety guidelines and policies. If you're injured on the job, notify your supervisors immediately and get assistance. Above all, avoid taking risks when it comes to safety. Be aware and do your part to maintain a safe workplace environment.
The Nigerian police, which is ones allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigeria Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Force.
No, my Lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding you, Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Politics is a game. It is about delivering dividends of democracy. For this, accountability is key. So we listen, we follow up on the promise, and we track the progress. Watch Political Spectrum weekdays, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., exclusive to Spectrum Television.
The annual World Day for Safety and Health at Work on 28 April promotes the prevention of occupational accidents and diseases globally. The World Day for Safety and Health at Work 2022 focuses on enhancing social dialogue towards a culture of safety and health. It is an awareness-raising campaign intended to focus international intention and attention on the magnitude of the problem and on how promoting and creating a safety and health culture can help reduce the number of work-related deaths and injuries. In 2003, the International Labour Organization, ILO, began to observe World Day for Safety and Health in order to stress the prevention of accidents and diseases at work, capitalizing on the International Labour Organization's traditional strength of tripartism and social dialogue. 28 April is also the International Commemoration Day for Death and Injuries related to work environment, organized worldwide by the trade union movement since 1996. The main goal of safety and health programs is to prevent workplace injuries, illnesses, and deaths, as well as the suffering and financial hardship these events can cause for workers, their families, and employers. Workplace safety is an important part of any job and requires that everyone in the company adhere to the safety guidelines and policies in place. Carefully following appropriate safety guidelines can go a long way to preventing workplace injuries. Below are some ways you can work to stay safe on the job. Always be alert to what's happening in your surroundings. Remember, your safety is your responsibility. Understand the particular hazards related to your job or workplace and keep clear of potentially hazardous areas or situations. Be awake and attentive on the job and be particularly aware of machinery. Avoid going to work under the influence of alcohol or drugs, which can compromise your concentration, coordination, judgment, motor control, and alertness. Use correct postures to protect your back while at work. If you sit at a desk, keep your shoulders and hips in line and avoid hunching over. Use correct form when lifting objects and avoid twisting and stopping. Feeling tired and worn out makes you less likely to be aware of your surrounding and is a common cause of workplace injuries. Regular breaks helps you to stay fresh and alert on the job. It is particularly important to take short breaks when you have a task that requires repetitive movements over a long period of time. Always take the proper precaution when operating machinery or using tools. Taking shortcuts is a leading cause of workplace injuries, so use the appropriate tool for the job and use it in the right way. Always know where emergency exits are located and keep the path to them clear. You should also have clear access to the emergency shutoffs on machineries. If you notice a potential safety hazard or risk, report it to your supervisor immediately so they can address the situation, and keep communication lines open and work as a team to create a safe working environment. Maintain a clean and organized workplace environment. Make housekeeping an ongoing project that everyone is involved in. Make use of mechanical aids and reduce workplace stress. Use appropriate safety equipment as well. Creating an environment that is safe is the responsibility of everyone. Do your part by following safety guidelines and policies. If you're injured on the job, notify your supervisors immediately and get assistance. Above all, avoid taking risks when it comes to safety. Be aware and do your part to maintain a safe workplace environment.
Much thanks for joining us, and this is Rise and Shine Thursday edition. Glad to know you are still there, and of course you can connect us on our different socials. Use the handle SpectrumTv.ng on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and you can join the conversation. And today we are focusing on the World Safety Day when it comes to the work environment, and right about now we will be going to the guest section.
Of course, talking about the guests we've been joined on the show to shed more light on the importance of safety in workspaces. We've been joined by the head of Department Physical and Health Education, University of Uyo, and a public health expert, Professor Ukime Eyo. Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, madam. Good morning, my brother.
Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much.
All right. Today, 28th of April, is celebrated like we've already established. How important would you say this day or the marking of this purpose is to humanity?
Well, thank you very much, my sister. You know, health, let's start first. Let's define health. Health is a state of complete mental, physical, and social well-being. Not merely the absence of disease, infirmary, nor handicap. Now, this is an old definition, 1948-49 by the WHO. But we also know that anything, once you are free from disease, you are healthy. The former definition that I gave did not include mine. A thing is considered healthy when it functions according to the aim and purpose of its creation. Anything that impairs the natural function impairs its health. Now we are talking about health and safety at work. Very, very important. Safety when you're free from injuries, illnesses, diseases by taking precautions. It boils down to the mind, my sister. You have regulations, rules and regulations governing any organization, any agency, department. There should be a team set up to regulate the compliance. If you hire somebody like this studio right now, say don't touch this, I came in, do all your preparation, touch this, don't go here. There should be a team to enforce the compliance. It all boils down to the mind. They say mind is not brain, and brain is not mind. Whatever you do in life, everything you do goes back to the brain and mind. We are not born of the mind of God. We are born of the brain of God. Brain is the source of the mind. Brain is the root of the mind. Brain is a repository of electrical energy. If this brain receives right during training, workshops, don't touch that, it will shock you. Put on your goggles, put on your mask. If you're dealing with a coronavirus patient, you contract the pathogenic agent disease. Once you feed the mind of the people and the brain of the people you are working with, connects to the mind, they will take instruction. So if the brain receives right, it will transmit right. So brain is both a receiver and what? A transmitter. I'm a pastor. And they say, I will tell my church, let the mind of God, like Paul said, in Christ be in you, the same was in Christ Jesus. Jesus synthesized all the messages of all the former prophets and brought it into one with God because the mind of God was in him. He studied it, understood it. Same thing with workplace. You have rules and regulations. They say put on your gloves, nose mask. This virus is airborne, fluid-borne. You go to some of these health centers. You see our colleagues in public health, in nurses, some of my colleagues also, they don't put on nose mask. Discretion before faith and obedience before courage.
Okay, sir. You've landed with that word obedience is very critical. But in sociology, we are made to understand that for some reason, some persons are naturally deviant in nature, possibly by genetic, compositions and all of that, and at other times maybe because of present scenarios. Now, for persons who intentionally are in the work environment, and there are rules and guidelines stipulating what should be done and what shouldn't be done, and if you must do a certain thing, how you must go about doing it, but still choose to bypass those rules and do things their own way, thereby leading to exposing themselves and other colleagues at work to dangers at workplace. How would you go about cautioning such human beings, or what should the work environment do for such people to fall in line in order not to have work-related incidents and deaths?
Thank you very much, my brother. You mentioned sociologists. I don't mean to beat down on my brother or what you said. Jung and Freud died a long time ago. They are 100 years behind time. The minds of the people of the earth have changed. And yesterday's key cannot fit into this padlock. Change, not APC. I'm not.
Yes, very well.
If I say tomorrow I want you to become a Shiite Muslim, say Shadu Allah, Allah, ilaha, Bismillah, Rahman, you say, oh, the Prophet has gone mad. Because you are used to the environment, people are the product of the environment. But if I tell you that at a younger age, maybe I can transform you. So boil down to what you asked me. To change, your words must contain light, life, and power. The three essentials. Your words must also contain organizing principles as well as what? Guided principles, creative principles. So that when the words get to the mind, you see this light here? The right light bring about motion. Light plus motion brings about what? Positive change toward optimal health. The right path of God. Of course, the Bible does not lie, my dear brother. In every 12, there must be a Judas Iscariot. So that this one person does not bring sicknesses and diseases to others in your team. You as a leader, not everybody will accept you. Not everybody will listen to you. Some people don't know how to use discretion before faith. So you must use upper reasoning of thought. Call certain persons in your group. Have extra discussion. Monitor that person. So the person does not bring what? Diseases into the environment. Let me tell you something. Most of our diseases, I will not say all, most of our diseases, most of our illnesses are directly due to our rebellion. So people are naturally rebellious to our rebellion against the divine law and will. Set up rules, set guidelines, principles. So I'm saying rebel will die cause. The people are just rebels naturally. Antagonistic. Health is natural. When we are sick, something is wrong. We should try, do everything within your power to improve, to increase somebody's mind. You have contact with on a daily basis. Not the brain. Now, when the brain enlarges, you are in trouble. They say somebody, so to kill you here is to kill you indeed. And to resurrect you here is to resurrect you almost in need of resurrection. What you just told me. Because our people are very hard to convince. They will create reasons. Or say biggest drawback is not blackness. It is ignorance that manifests itself in cold, naked envy. Jealousy. I don't want to listen to him. He's too light-skinned. I don't want to just, he's too pretty.
I see that's getting more philosophical now. Would like to see you maintain on the workspace health.
Yes.
Okay, well, at this point, we understand that some multinational companies, all companies precisely, are more safety conscious because For them, it is a prerequisite for employment. You must be safety certified to get employed so that they will know you understand the workings of the oil company environment, and then also you will be able to maintain safety precautionary measures there. But away from that, on a broader perspective, it's not just the oil company that should maintain safety in the workspace. Every occupation, every discipline, every work environment has ethical, procedures that should be followed through to ensure safety. Like we saw in the reports, there is some work site painters falling off and all of that. How can we, introduce healthy safety procedures in all workspaces in Nigeria?
My sister, thank you very much. Training and retraining. Look out for good speakers, people with oratorical skills. Then ballistic missile technology, Stinger missile, now they have fine laser beams. You must drill in the mind of the people, your employees. Don't do this, do this, don't do this, do this. But let them know that what you are telling them, if they abide, they listen to you, obedience before courage, it will save their life, save their colleagues' life, save the company's existence and the productivity. So it boils down to training and retraining, seminars, orientation, but bring people who, I said earlier, their work content what? Light, life, and power. It's not the same old thing. Let me tell you something, sister. A lady called me by some phone and said, Prof, I listened to your sermon on Easter. Say it was the same word but presented differently. That was encouragement. We are fond of doing the same thing the same old way. Even the curriculum, injecting something that when you talk to the person, you give the person a pictorial message. Let me give an example. You're a woman. You are married, you see rings in your hand. You want to deliver and have babies. I will tell you, that child in your stomach can be the next to Emmanuel. I mean, when I say, if I say the next Buhari, we don't like everybody looking Buhari now. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, when a woman knows that when a woman is pregnant, what she eats and how she eats, and what she thinks and how she thinks, is the basis of the formation of what growing inside her. That the next governor, president, the 2023 election, came by you, no matter how great Jesus was. He had to what? Face come by you before you approach the Father. You say things that the woman will go home during the private moment this morning when you wake up. You know how much you love your husband. You open the toilet. You sit down, you push. Your husband will know. Honey, he said, give me 2 more minutes. You don't say, honey, come and say the commode, I love your Lord. That's your private moment. That way you reflect here. You think about, that thing what Prof was saying yesterday. The thing comes in. So my sister, you can get money, seminar, but bring people. It's communication, it's thought. Thought is not, people underestimate thought, but it's very, very important. It's the essence of every material thing. Everything you see is a thought manifest. Bring people that will put something in your mind. You go back to the mind. Being philosophical. You have to put in philosophy to think. Jesus Christ used to speak in parables. Good Samaritan. He qualified it good because others from Samaria were not that good. The Pharisee wanted to catch him. They were all setting traps for him. He knew how to step on the trap without getting caught up. He said, one fell around among the robbers. Mama, I'm going. You know what I'm saying? They want to clean it up, give it to the innkeeper. The other one looked, the liver, this is very, very bad. And kept on trucking. It's happening till today. So without you injecting philosophy, you cannot, it's a reason is a higher form of mental mathematics. When I talk, I like to make people think. Yeah, you think for the rest of your natural life. But I've been working on this years. From bachelor to master to doctorate, working, reading different things. So if you look at Jesus Christ, Jesus did not used to give direct answers. They talk about, this Sunday I was talking about Jonah. Some of us were in the belly, not belly of a whale, big fish. Some of us were in the belly of envy and jealousy. Some of us in the belly of ignorance.
Okay, so talking about the ignorance, a lot of persons, like you come to a work environment, for instance, there are posters, the stickers giving guidelines as to what you should do in terms of safety. But then, regardless of the training that these persons have been exposed to within the work environment as to the do's and don'ts to ensure safety during the work environment, they still do not abide by those instructions. And now, as a result of their actions, you get to see other persons being exposed to dangers. Now, you've spoken about the need for training and retraining as being one of the ways to handle the situation. You've also talked about the need for leaders to take further initiative to communicate more with some persons that they would need a lot more convincing in order to obey constituted rules in terms of trainings and retrainings. And the persons in question have not, have chosen for some reason not to abide by the rules. The leaders in the company have done talks upon talks, and then still for some reason maybe they need medical evaluation or psychological evaluation or mental evaluation in order for the company to best handle them.
Well, I like both of you are very good. You see, that's why I say it's good to know the scripture. I don't care whether we are Christian, a Muslim, whether you're a Hindu, a Buddhist, astronauts. Some of us, we are superficial Christians, superficial Muslims, etc. We stray at a night, we swallow camels. Once you know that in every 12, listen to me, my brother, there must be a Judas Iscariot in your family, in your marriage, in your home, among your colleagues. There must be a Judas. The scripture does not lie. So you are working human beings. There will always be a rebellious element. That's a very, very good point. If that person is good, efficacy and effectiveness, and he or she lacking certain things, after proper training and proper words, everything you see in this step plan called it, what? It's word. You talk and train and train. You know the person is good. Weaknesses. Nobody is perfect. Only God is perfect. But we can all try to be what? A little bit better. You can move the person from a very sensitive position to somewhere else to utilize his or her talents. You see, all fingers are not equal. The ability to get information, digest it, then bring it all out to positively affect others is very deep. People are the product of the environment. Sometimes they say, okay, that child is from parents, no background, no father. You see what I'm saying? It's a bastard child. Adam went somewhere and left Eve. And most of this translated Bible, always see a picture of a woman with a child. No man, what am I trying to tell you? Not the scripture, you will hear, but God has deposited in us, in His word, the Bible. The Bible is not something that happened 2 million years ago, or something going to happen 2 million years to come. It's a daily reality. You mentioned workplace. You did not mention E and J. Sometimes somebody will deliberately sabotage you. Do something so that you look bad. They say, oh, the nigga couldn't handle it. But in the 51st state of United States, the Falashes, the Semite, the real Jews, every Saturday after synagogue, they will sit down with their rabbinical scholars. They will exchange whether you are general, you are honorable, you are professor. They sit down and share knowledge. Their women will bring food. They will chant, yaka music. That's the training. They are together. Hey, brother, they say you are amazing obo. They warn you. They do that religiously. Because that what? History is cyclical in nature. If you don't know what was, you cannot understand what is, then you are ill prepared for what is yet to come. They inject words in to make you reason. Reasoning is what is killing black people. So, my brother, there will be a rebellious element. But you now work on a mechanism, some way to handle that element. Like the football team. There's some football players just they want to fight. They eject. There's a coach now, I don't want to mention the name. Once you are given a yellow card, it will move from the team. Because next time they'll be red card, they'll be playing 10 against 11. A lot of footballers were used to bring down LDL, cholesterol strength, and all those things.
That's fine. That is good to know that you're on wine with football. But then, just staying on this conversation, you know that it's not just a proper organization. We have a lot of entrepreneurs who are engaged in 1 or 2 different vocations that demand safety. we have a lot of roadside welders and a lot of people into hairdressing, people into makeup. Each of those professions has a certain part of health hazard that, if not prevented with proper health practices, could damage individual lives, eyes, and all of those things.
God bless you, my sister.
At what point can the consciousness be enacted in the eyes of the public?
I got your question. God bless you. I like that question, both of you. You see, the present DVC, DVC and me, God bless her, with the Professor, and also with the present incumbent Dean of the Faculty of Education, Professor Antia, with the incoming Dean, Professor Gorman. They've now come out with the Department of Vocational Education. Practical things, not theory. I think that's the base faculty that have been created that will help us black people so that we can now practicalize things. When I go to my welder, I will tell him, I say, hey, bros, Enyi is an Igbo guy. Then put on your glasses. You are young now, chronologically. I'm not my spring chicken. You are young, but you get to my age, cataracts, all the other associated diseases. You say you're young, you don't use glasses. Do you understand me? Even gas station, a young lady like you, selling gas, in some states, smell the gas. Brain cells, they don't multiply. And after the thing go down. You see, you can be your child today. If you had destroyed those brain cells during pregnancy, the child will not take information and recall. Like you probably said, my sister, let her smell the gas. Like my sister said, hairdressing, they use about 15 different chemicals. Put in the nails, put in these things. I'm saying, talk to them. One time they chased me away when I went to hair bleaching cream. These creams that people are using, if you go to the hospital, you see a lot of young females with kidney infections because they don't know. You understand what I'm saying? They see necessary reaction from different chemicals. Very good point. So, public health is everybody. Like I said earlier, you can prepare all the basic, but you as the leader, you have to source for good speakers. Give them the topic. They know how to say things to wake you up. The people that talk, the Spirit of God in you will contact the Spirit of God in them. Jesus Christ did not used to give long sermons. I've gone through books in Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. I don't think I've seen anywhere Jesus for more than 500 seconds. That's approximately 8 minutes and 20 seconds for the Spirit of God in him to contact the Spirit of God in people. Not to talk for not to, human being have short attention span anyway. So excuse me, if you say one soul, it's better for God and for humanity. Shelter the homeless, clothe the naked, feed the hungry, then tell them who did it. You are bringing them to God. So thank you very much.
All right, sir. The problem of safety in the work environment is not just limited to the private sector. It's not just limited to the public sector either. It is a collaborative concern that needs collaborative efforts if we had to tackle the issue. Now, my next question is, what would you say is the place of government in the promotion of workplace safety?
Very good question, my brother. See, we say government. People think government just this spook from heaven. Government. They say beware the 3 Gs: God, government, gone. After God is government, but this government are human beings. Like this beautiful studio now, with very good reporters, professionals, fair, firm. You see what I'm saying? Good. Ask me to make me think. It boils down to who did you appoint? Who did you choose? Who did you promote to get to that place to make good decisions? Government can collaborate. You see what I'm saying? We need a department, Ministry of Public Health in Nigeria. The question brought me to both of you. To go, what you mentioned, brother, you must read this so-called quote, the nobodies. She said something that touched me. I'm from a very humble background. My father was killed. I was about 9 years of age. So when somebody talks about nobodies, the down and out. The government will now bring people. You go, they talk to these people on this street. Go to this street, talk to welder. You talk to mechanic. See, my pride doesn't need billions of naira of dollars. It's what I'm saying? It's ingenuity. You apply it. So government are human beings who now organize people, training and retraining, send them out to places. Public health is a part and parcel of life. An ounce of prevention is better than what? A pound of cure. Good questions.
Okay, in that regard, government, they have a hand to play. You suggesting a ministry be established for public health.
Yes.
How about NGOs? Could it be fair to have a collaboration with NGOs on days like this? We could go out to give some, equipment that could help different people in different vocations to stay safe.
Good question, NGOs. I think the first Nigerian to join the Peace Corps, the American Peace Corps. I went to Cameroon. Je parle un peu le français, c'est pas beaucoup. You had to learn French the right way. I was only black in my group. We were 36. We were from Yaoundé to Saint-Malema to Djoum to Melen. Now, NGOs, some of these NGOs, they are for profit. They don't have that passion, that desire. But even inside the NGO, when they come here, I always tell them, bring in our people. If you go to a certain area, it's like immunization, my sister, this polio. When I used to work with Dr. Manuel Kipla here, right here, there's no house in Oran. I think I did not write my listing. We went from house to house. I used to suggest, if this sister is from Mbiaya, this brother is from, what do you call this area here? Ibiaku. Send it to his own environment. Oh, Adiaudo. Oh, Akbana Udofia. I call a lady, I don't want to mention the place, with denatured vaccine. The eyes completely melt to water. Eyes turn to water. I told her, if you were in your village, will you put this in your sister's child's body? You know very well this is a weak form of the germ. You don't want your child to catch. Now you are now injecting somebody's child with the denatured vaccine. I collected the stuff from her, applied the money, told her to go. But man, they keep like that in that plane crash. We used to hear in Oran. We want that brother from Ibiono. I forgot the name, Minister of Health. So back to your question, my sister. Even these NGOs injecting local people who go to the environment and communicate with the people. Not every time you speak English. And you have to know the way you speak, the level of English to the people you are talking to. Sometimes they will be lost. Or you get an interpreter. You see what I'm saying? Go to them, talk to them in their own language, and believe you transform them. Yes. I've been around, I don't want to give my CV here. I've been to Jamaica, I've been to Dominican Republic, I've been in public health. I've been to Iraq, the first Gulf War, the public health medical service officer. So what I'm telling you now is what other people are applying it. And it's not very expensive. You just you go back to leadership. Choose people that can think mathematically and take decisions. Not expensive to help the population.
Well, you've said it all. Over different powers, it has always boiled down to leadership issues when it comes to virtually all sectors in Nigeria. But I would like to take your last thoughts on this particular issue. What would you advise the general public on a day like this, being celebrated the world over as World Safety Day in workspace?
A day like this, not only workplace security is a big pandemic now in Nigeria. Security problem. When the economy improves, criminality will go down. But in between this, us, people, if you have access, good question, good with my brother, my sister, if you have access to your brothers, to your sisters, to the youth, let your words contain what? Light, life, and power. Talk sense into them. Tell people if you are working in the environment, what my brother said earlier, listen to what? Instructions. Don't touch. I used to work in a program, MBRS, my sister, Managed Bambiga Research Sciences. We dealt with formaldehyde, xylene, benzene, acetone. The supervisor was from India, Dr. Ajay Gopal Chakrabarti. He said, no, Yugi, he told you don't go near there. I will slap you just to scare you from going near that thing. Because you inhale it, your lungs, you die young, die early. Something for you to do. So my sister, it boiled down to let all of us that God has blessed us with some intelligence to instill trepidation into these young people or rebellious people, like you said. Yeah, because they will be around, even in your own family.
All right, so
Yes,
thank
sir.
you very much
Yes, sir.
for being on the show. We've been
Yes, sir.
talking to Professor Kimeyor. He is the head of Department Physical and Health Education, University of Uyo. And of course, he is a master and expert in public health. He has shed more light than we even expected as far as this issue is concerned, because he prefers, like a pastor he is, to speak in parables and of course give you what to think about for the entirety of your life. Thank you, sir, for being on the show.
Thank you very much, my sister. Thank you, my brother.
All right, we're going on a short time out and we'll be back to take the last lap of Rise and Shine. Do stay with us.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Politics is a game. It is about delivering dividends of democracy. For this, accountability is key. So we listen, we follow up on the promise, and we track the progress. Watch Political Spectrum weekdays, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., exclusive to Spectrum Television.
Glad to have you back. It's still Rise and Shine Thursday edition, and we are gradually getting to the last lap of the program for this morning. And it's been an amazing time talking about safety in the work environment. And of course, our guests made sure we talked more about not just safety and health, we talk about safety in our respective home front as well. And that is something that we all need to take particular attention to.
Exactly. So yes, we're moving ahead and we'll take the quote of the day before we call it a day on the show. When you change your thoughts, remember to also change your world. Wow. And that boils down to what our guest mentioned, that as is one of his last words, talk to someone, let your love show light, love, and all of that. And yes, it begins with the thought. Everything generates from the mind.
Well, your thoughts wouldn't amount to anything if you don't actually follow through with the needed actions that will bring the reality that everyone can get to witness and experience. And that's what you have to do. Think, act, and let it come to light.
And that is what we call it a day for this day's edition of Rise and Shine. It was nice having you at the other end, and we were excited that we were able to, set your part straight for the day. And of course, we'll meet again tomorrow on the Friday edition of Rise and Shine. I remain Otobasitam.
And I am Francis Adet. To have a beautiful day.
Nigerian police force, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Politics is a game. It is about delivering dividends of democracy. For this, accountability is key. So we listen, we follow up on the promise, and we track the progress. Watch Political Spectrum weekdays, 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., exclusive to Spectrum Television.